Hi, I'm here. I'm just getting my coffee. We got a lot to talk about tonight, so I want to just grab my coffee. It's all ready. I just got to put my cream in it. I'll be right there. Sorry, I was having an issue with Streamlabs. But I'm on my way over here. Hold on, didn't get me. We got a lot to talk about. Just going to put some cream in my coffee. Okay. I'll be right there. On my way. All right, so if some of you watched the Stefan Sterns plea, then you know what happened, that he pled no contest to the murder of Madeline Soto, but he pled guilty to the S battery part of it. So that was really quite strange. And then after victims' impact statements were given, and you'll notice that Jen Soto, Madeline's mother, did not appear anywhere in the court that I could see. And she did not give a victim's impact statement or even give a victim's impact statement to be read for her. There were many other people, including Madeline's father, who gave victims' impact statements. And so that was strange. And then at the end, Stefan Sterns wanted to speak. So a lot of weird things. And when he said, I want to get what he said. At the end, he said, I'm sorry for the pain, but he didn't say that he caused or anything like that about him causing the pain. All right, so he would have been facing the death penalty, but prosecutors agreed to take that off the table as part of the plea agreement. And Madeline first went missing on February 26, 2024. He had given this, we saw in the confession the other night, all these lies that he dropped her off a little before the school. She didn't want to be seen getting out of his car. You know, that in meandering, he kept using that word, right? It was all lies. And then they told him they had the stuff on his phone and they had to take pictures of him, right? Okay. He was immediately a person of interest because he was the one that was said to be dropping her off at school the day she went missing. Officers discovered that Madeline had not been dropped off at school. And when they looked at surveillance footage, they saw no sign of him doing so. And so his story began to change. They authorized the Kissimmee Police Department to search his phone. And that's when they found stuff, right? He tried to do a factory reset on his device the same day she went missing, but it didn't clear his Google Drive. And that's where the officers discovered the disturbing images that were criminal and sexual in nature. Detectives were then able to determine that those crimes were committed at the family home in Kissimmee. Okay, and then Jennifer Soto, a few weeks after that, spoke about the relationship between Stefan Sterns and her daughter, saying that Madeline never wanted to sleep alone in her bedroom. Jennifer couldn't remember how many times she let Madeline sleep with Stefan alone in his bedroom. Jennifer stated she allowed it because she trusted Stefan, and he treated Madeline as his daughter. Investigators also reviewed a surveillance footage from the morning of February 26 that showed Stefan Sterns driving with someone slumped over a female passenger, wearing clothing that matched what Madeline was reported to be wearing the day she went missing. Additional surveillance showed Stefan Sterns making multiple trips in 2 separate cars to dispose of trash bags. And during a search of a dumpster where Sterns had been seen throwing things away, police found Madeline's backpack and her school-issued laptop. He initially entered a not guilty plea to both the murder and 60 sexual battery charges. Okay, so let's talk about what happened today. So the plea deal was approved by the court one day before Stefan Sterns' trial was about to begin. The plea covers the sex crimes and the murder charge, which would have been handled in 2 separate trials. He pled guilty to the S battery and no contest to the murder. Unbelievable, right? I'm surprised they even let him do that. I mean, to take it off, they should have had him do guilty to both, right? Don't you think so? The judge accepted both pleas. The state attorney, Monique Worrell, said the plea carries 21 concurrent life sentences. Sterns could have faced the death penalty. And the attorney, Monica Worrell, said, and I quote, "I want to extend my deepest condolences to the Soto family and everyone who loved Madeline. Her life was stolen in a senseless act of violence, and the pain of that loss is immeasurable. While nothing we can do can bring Madeline back, I hope the family finds some measure of peace knowing that justice has been served. The individual responsible has been sentenced to 23 consecutive life sentences and will never walk free again. He has also waived all of his rights to an appeal, ensuring finality and sparing the family from reliving this trauma in courtrooms for years to come. Our office conducted a meticulous review of this case, and in every step we took was in close consultation with Madeline's family. This outcome reflects their wishes. It holds the accused fully accountable while also protecting the family from further anguish. We remain committed to seeking justice in a way that centers victims and honors the lives that are taken far too soon." Investigators say he was arrested after the files were discovered, and he became the primary suspect. So I want to get to the victims' impact statements and that and Sterns' statement, okay? Okay. So, after several members of the Florida girl's family, Madeline Soto's family, and friends delivered emotional and tearful victims' impact statements, Stefan Sterns addressed the judge and the courtroom. It did not appear that Madeline's mother, Jennifer Soto, attended the plea hearing. She also did not address the court in person or through any prepared remarks. And so they asked him if he wanted to make a statement. He said, "Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to make a brief statement." And he said, and I quote, "I agree that it is not fair that Madeline is not here anymore. It's been a hard time contemplating a world where she's not around, a world which feels less vibrant, less colorful than it did before." And then he said he prayed to God countless times to trade places with her, to take him instead, and unfortunately, that's just not how he works. He said he has nothing but sorrow for her loss and misses her all the time. Her passing has torn him apart and his family apart as well, and she truly was a joy. said he prayed to God that she's in heaven and that he's taking good care of her, and that he hopes she gets to join the choir because she had a beautiful voice. He says, I will miss her all the time. I will never not honor her memory. I apologize for all the pain. But he never said that he caused. Okay? So let me just make sure that we are. Hi, I'm here. I'm just getting my coffee. We got. Sorry. Hi, Jane Grill. How are you? How's Captain Lee? Hello, Linda. Hi, and let me get over here on this set. So that was what happened with Madeline Soto. Now I'm going to go to the 5 children that were rescued from a Pennsylvania house. Children ranged in age from 2 to 7. 3 adults were arrested. So let me get that. Okay. All right, let me get this. Hang on. All right, so let me get a picture of the scene here. What was that? Okay. So, this happened in Blair County, Pennsylvania. 3 people were arrested and are in jail after a young child was found wandering the streets in Freedom Township, Pennsylvania. So the arrests were Zoe Elise Zungali, Dominic Andrew Zungali, both were 31 years old, and 18-year-old Jillian Byrne. They've been charged with child abuse and animal abuse after a neighbor in East Freedom called the police. According to the criminal complaints, Freedom Township police were called to Cream Hollow Road and Houts Drive in East Freedom Friday night, July 18th, after a witness who was walking his dog found a child who was shoeless and wandering the street. The child was found without shoes and covered in urine. Once called, police investigated and found that multiple children were living in deplorable conditions in a nearby home. According to the police, there were 5 children from 2 to 7, zip-tied to cages, and were confined up to 20 hours a day. The court documents that charged them, these 3 adults, show that there was even a routine. After each meal, the children would allegedly be placed back in their enclosures. In addition, police said various pets were in the home and neglected. Police noted they found doorknobs removed, gates tied shut so the children couldn't get out. There was no running water in the home. Animal feces all over the living areas. In the court documents, it was noted that an officer bought all of the children Happy Meals, and they appeared to aggressively eat out of hunger. It was also noted that the child found wandering the street had allegedly tried to dig out of their room through the walls before getting out through a window. One child was transferred to the UPMC Children's Hospital for specialized treatment. The children have since been placed into foster care. Blair County District Attorney Pete Weeks provided the following statement, and I quote, "We're very grateful to the police and first responders and the individual who called 911 that those children are now safe with the assistance of children, youth, and families. Certainly, everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty, but we take these charges very seriously at the District Attorney's Office, and we look forward to continuing to work with the police and other first responders and CYF to fully prosecute the 3 individuals charged. The Zagalis were placed in Blair County Prison with bail set at $150,000. Bem was placed in Blair County Prison with bail set at $75,000. Preliminary hearings are set for July 31st for all 3. Okay, so let us look at one thing here. Now that's just horrible. Thank gosh they're out of there, but oh my gosh. I want to see if there's anything here. Okay, and apparently and this is these are public pages. This is public page of Dominic, Dom Zingali. And this, I imagine, is Zoe, 31 years old. Now here they are under, I wonder, are they adopting this child? This child right here? Wow, look at this. Okay, so I'm not seeing, he's married, he says, but, okay. One second, please. Trying to get something over here. Okay, then Zoe. No. Huh? What is that about? I'm looking at something here. There was thought there was something else about these kids. Okay, so let me just see something. Zoe. Looks like her Facebook page was taken down. She might have done it. Here's this up. And dad of 6 kids, married to the best woman out there, ZEZ. 6 kids. So is the 18-year-old his child as well? The one that was arrested? I don't know. Doesn't have the same last name. Okay. All right, well, we'll keep on top of that. See what's going on. Now we're going to bring you a crazy case, okay? As if it's not crazy, right? Okay, and I'm going to read you from these charging documents, okay? Florida eye doctor charged with killing his ex-wife, who's a Spirit Airlines Flight Attendant. All right, let me just get this over here. We're going to go right to the court documents. Okay, here is the wife, the ex-wife that was murdered. She was found face down on the sidewalk along Lucerne Lakes Boulevard on July 15th. Richard Seith, spelled by Keith with an S, so I guess it's Richard Seith, 53 years old, was arrested on Friday at his home in Jensen Beach. He's facing first-degree murder charge of and accused of shooting 54-year-old Cynthia Ciarone outside her residence in Lucerne Green condominiums on July 14th. Okay, so let me get the documents here. They are really crazy. All right. This is the affidavit. All right, so says here that this is the arrest for Richard Edmund Seith from Jensen Beach, Florida. He's 5'8", weighs 150 pounds. Brown eyes, black hair, light complexion, medium build. On Tuesday, July 15th at approximately 3:22 a.m., deputies with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office responded to the area of redacted in Palm Beach County regarding a man down call request by Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. Upon arrival, deputies learned that Palm Beach County Fire Rescue Engine 32 had located a female on the sidewalk with an apparent gunshot wound to her head. The female, later identified as Cynthia Ciarone Seith, was pronounced deceased at approximately 3:26 a.m. Detectives with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office Violent Crimes Division Homicide Unit responded to the scene and assumed the case. The victim was located lying face down on a sidewalk along the west side of Lucerne Lakes Boulevard, with an apparent gunshot wound to her head. Located in the deceased's hand was a set of car keys and a cellular device next to her. Detectives also found a suitcase approximately 10 feet from her location. The victim was clothed in a flight attendant uniform. Detectives were unable to locate any firearm evidence at the scene. Detectives were further advised that the decedent owned a gray Subaru bearing Florida tag, which was located in a parking space just west of the victim's location. So he got her just as she was coming back. She got her suitcase there, must have just got off a flight, got out of her car, and he ambushed her. Okay. Let's see where we were. As detectives completed a neighborhood canvass, they learned that the decedent lived at Redacted, which is located approximately 75 feet from where the decedent was discovered. Furthermore, detectives learned the decedent currently works for Spirit Airlines as a flight attendant and is recently divorced from Richard Seith. Detectives noted that the decedent's apartment is located on the first floor of a 2-story complex. Located on the front door is a Ring camera, along with an active surveillance camera on the interior living room window. Detectives completed a background investigation on the decedent and Richard Seith, and it was learned that they had finalized their divorce on May 5th, 2025. It was later learned that Richard Seith owed the decedent $250,000. The decedent received the residence located at Redacted as part of the divorce, and it was agreed that the mortgage would be paid off within 60 days of the final divorce decree by Richard Seith. 60 days. Total amount owed to the decedent was approximately $285,000. The decedent had previously reported 2 vandalism cases involving her vehicle, which were documented under Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office case numbers. She believed that Richard Seith was responsible for the damage to her vehicle, and in the reports, the decedent provided her cellular telephone number. She also provided the cellular number to Richard Seith. Both numbers were checked on law enforcement databases and were confirmed to be associated with Richard Seith. Both cellular devices are connected with Verizon Wireless. A records check was conducted on Richard Seith, and it was discovered that he has an orange Jeep Wrangler registered to him with Florida license plate, as well as a Yamaha motorcycle with Florida license plate. Richard Seith resides at in Jensen Beach. Urafian spoke with witness 1, who stated that he observed when the decedent arrived home at approximately 11:43 p.m. on July 14th. Witness 1 provided Urafian with his doorbell video surveillance, which captures the decedent's vehicle arriving home and traveling towards her parking space at approximately 11:43 p.m. I conducted a sworn recorded statement with witness 1, who identified Richard Seith as the decedent and the decedent from his numerous interactions with both individuals. Witness 1 stated that on July 13th, he observed Richard Seith inside his orange Jeep Wrangler parked at 7392 Lake Worth Road, which is 0.9 miles away from the entrance of the decedent's neighborhood and 1.5 miles away from the decedent's address. On July 9th, he observed an orange Jeep parked in the community parking lot, consistent with the orange Jeep that's registered to Richard Seith. Detectives recovered a dash surveillance camera which captures both audio and video located inside the deceased vehicle. The dash cam had a 360-degree view with cameras facing the interior and exterior of the vehicle. They were activated by motion. The video surveillance showed that the decedent was shot on July 14th at approximately 11:47 p.m. The shooter is just out of camera view. Seconds after the homicide, an individual is captured bending over behind the decedent's vehicle. The audio capabilities of the surveillance camera capture a sound consistent with the vehicle being touched. The individual captured on camera appeared to be a male wearing a baseball hat and walking westbound. During a review of the license plate readers, along with Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office surveillance platforms and Martin County Sheriff's Office surveillance platforms, an orange Jeep Wrangler, consistent with the Jeep registered to Richard Seith, was captured multiple times on July 14th and July 15th before and after the homicide. And then below are the dates. It says for the times the vehicle was captured. On July 14th, 7:30 p.m. July 14th, 7:53. July 14th, 8:18. July 14th, 8:26, 8:28, 9:25, 9:26. So 9:27, 9:27, and 11:17. July 14th at approximately 11:18, an orange Jeep is captured. July 14th at 11:22, it's captured. July 14th at 11:55. July 14th at 12:01. July 14th at 12:04. July 15th at 12:16 a.m. Detectives assisting with the background investigation of Richard Seith also located a granted petition for injunction for protection against stalking filed by witness 2. The injunction was in regard to the relationship involving the witness 2 and the Seiths. Witness 2 contacted detectives from Palm Beach Sheriff's Office asking to speak with detectives about the investigation, and during a sworn statement from Witness 2, the following was learned. Witness 2 verbally outlined the injunction in which she filed in court against Richard Seith and further explained on his knowledge of the relationship between Richard Seith and Cynthia Ciaron. Witness 2 has known Richard Seith since 2014. Met him on Match.com. Okay, met him on Match.com, where they had a romantic relationship and dated briefly. Their relationship did not work out, and Richard married Cynthia in 2018, 4 years later. Cynthia became a very good friend, and their families would regularly spend time together. That is really strange, right? That he met some lady on Match.com, and then somebody he married 4 years later became a very good friend of her. That's kind of weird. Really weird. They would spend time together. Witness 2 described Richard and Cynthia's marriage as an escalating pattern of emotional and psychological abusive behavior, which Cynthia confided about. One of those behaviors was sexual coercion, in which Richard demanded that Cynthia swing, oh boy, another swinger, with other sexual partners, which she was not comfortable doing, especially with strangers. Cynthia was promised by Richard that he'd pay for medically necessary dental care in exchange for agreeing to these intimate relations. All intimate relations ceased at the end of 2022. Witness 2 stated that over time, Cynthia realized that she could not stay in the abusive relationship. She worked to extricate herself from the situation, training in a new career in an effort to become financially independent because she could no longer work in her husband's medical practice. During her time away, training to be a flight attendant, Richard confided in her that he could not drink alcohol when home alone because his mind went to a dark place, imagining what she was doing when she was away from him. Richard had also proudly confessed to his wife that he had stalked a former girlfriend using a fake Facebook profile, and he called the woman's new fiancé to call her a gold digger. The same ex-girlfriend later contacted Cynthia to tell her Richard had recently recontacted her and that Cynthia should run from Richard. Richard also told Cynthia that he took himself to a doctor for medical help and when he considered killing his ex-wife during his first divorce, and said he refrained because his son would become an orphan again. Son was adopted. In 2023, Cynthia was working in Houston to establish her new career and living with her adult son. When she came home to Stuart for a regular visit, during these visits, Cynthia told witness number 2 about an abusive pattern of violence where Richard inflicted physical injury, and Cynthia would frequently stay with witness 2 because of these abusive patterns, where Richard sent repeated text messages to her and witness 2 demanding to know her whereabouts, as well as "great knowing you." Witness 2 advised that Cynthia filed for divorce in January of 2024 and transferred her work base to Fort Lauderdale and lived in the condo in Lake Worth because Richard locked her out of the marital home and cut her off financially. During the fall months of 2023, Richard began to frequently drive by witness number 2's residence, attempting to check and see if Cynthia was there. Where Richard's actions caused them to be concerned for their safety. When conducting backgrounds on the parties involved, detectives learned that on July 10, 2024, at approximately 7:18 p.m., Martin County Sheriff's deputies were dispatched to a residence in reference to a vandalism complaint. Martin County Sheriff's Office has a case number for this. It was reported returning home from a trip and discovering a shattered bedroom window. Initial observations suggested the damage was caused by a projectile entering from outside. Further examination revealed a suspected bullet hole in the window blinds and a secondary hole in the drywall of the closet, consistent with the path of a fired round. Additionally, a dent resembling a bullet impact was located on the van's driver's side exterior under the window. Witness 2 identified a possible suspect as her friend's soon-to-be ex-husband, Richard Seith, who reportedly been surveilling the home. She explained that he had been driving by frequently to check if his wife, Cynthia, was staying at the house, possibly due to a conflict over divorce terms and living arrangements. The man was known to possess multiple firearms and was described as driving a distinct bright orange Jeep Wrangler with the words "Jack-o'-lantern" displayed on it. While preparing to clear the scene, the reporting deputy observed the exact orange Jeep turning onto the street. A traffic stop was conducted for investigative purposes. The male driver, identified as Richard Seith, was detained and advised of his Miranda rights. Inside the vehicle, deputies located a Glock 9mm handgun in the center console. During the interview, Seith admitted to driving by the residence to determine if his estranged wife, Cynthia, was staying there. He explained that during the divorce, Cynthia had asked him to financially support her move into a condo, which, he did not agree to. He admitted to driving by multiple times to gather information on her whereabouts, citing intentions to use this information in court proceedings. He further admitted he was upset that she might be staying at the witness number 2's home, especially since they had recently had a falling out. He denied firing any shots at the residence, but acknowledged owning several firearms. At the time of the reported incident in Martin County, there was insufficient probable cause for an arrest for the shooting. Excuse me. On July 15th of 2025, your affiant received an anonymous tip regarding the above homicide, stating that Richard Seith was the suspect. The tip further stated that the victim was believed to be scared of the suspect and had disclosed this information before the victim's death. Believed that the suspect was stalking the victim and believed to have fired gunshots at places the victim would stay. The decedent's vehicle, a gray Subaru with Florida plates, was sealed and towed to the Forensic and Science Technology facility. The vehicle was processed for DNA and latent prints. by crime scene investigators. At approximately 10:30, detectives along with the crime scene investigators completed the processing of the victim's 2016 Subaru. During the processing, detectives and crime scene investigators noticed an area with a void in the rear undercarriage, along with possible latent smudges, which appeared to indicate that someone had removed an item from this area. This is consistent with the unknown suspect appearing on the car video from the victim's vehicle near the rear hatch and bending over for a short period. On July 15, 2025, your affiant requested the assistance from Palm Beach Sheriff's Office Tactical Unit with an ongoing homicide investigation. Tactical agents were briefed on the person of interest in the investigation. Tactical agents completed a background investigation into the person of interest, Richard Seith, white male, born 1971. To include known and prior locations, vehicles, workplaces, family, friends, and known associates. Based on the background, agents attempted to locate Richard Seith and his vehicle. Tactical agents were able to locate his registered vehicle, that orange Jeep Wrangler, at his place of business. At approximately 12:15 p.m., agents maintained surveillance of his vehicle throughout that day. At approximately 4:22 p.m., agents observed Richard exit his place of business wearing a black hat, a blue shirt, and gray pants. He walked directly to and entered his Jeep Wrangler. The suspect seen during the murder of Cynthia was also wearing a hat. Agents then began and maintained mobile surveillance as he traveled directly from that road to his documented residence in Jensen Beach. During the drive, Richard Seith appeared to be very anxious as he continuously placed his hands on top of his head and wiped his face as if he were sweating when he stopped at traffic lights. Once he arrived at his residence at approximately 4:49, he backed his vehicle into the driveway. When he exited, Mr. Seith walked around his vehicle twice, inspecting it as if he were checking for damage. He then walked up the driveway and entered the residence through the front door. On July 16th, your affiant received an email from Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office Communication Officer N. Scuato, who informed me that Richard Seith called the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office wanting to know if your affiant needed any information from him. Your affiant called Richard Seith, who agreed to meet me at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office headquarters. Richard Seith arrived at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office at approximately 2:06 p.m. and informed me that he was in the lobby. Detectives interviewed him and he explained the following. Richard stated that the last time he was in Palm Beach County was for a stick figure concert in Wellington around July 4th. Oh gosh, you know what? This guy... No, that okay. For a stick figure concert. He revealed the concert was at the Think Financial Amphitheater located in West Palm Beach on July 5th. He then stated that's the last time he saw the victim in person was at the court hearing in December of 2024 in Martin County. He stated that he was the only one who drove his orange Jeep and he didn't lend it out to anyone. He denied being involved with or having any information about the death of the victim. On July 16th, your affiant procured a search warrant for the cellular device belonging to Richard Edmund Seith. Your affiant also procured a DNA search warrant and a vehicle search warrant. And these warrants were executed after the interview, and a cell phone was seized from Seith. On July 16th, a residential search warrant was executed at Richard's residence, with the assistance of the Martin County Sheriff's Office. A Cube GPS Pro tracking device was located within the residence, and this is advertised as real-time GPS tracking with pinpoint accuracy. This device utilizes the Cube mobile app to track the device, which is typically stored on mobile devices such as the cell phones. That's what he was taking off of her car. You get that? Detectives also located multiple firearms to include handguns, revolvers, rifles, suppressors, and ammunition within the residence. The cell phone device was forensically extracted pursuant to the search warrant. During a review of the data, numerous items associated with that Cube tracker account were located, including a purchase history from Amazon in May of 2025, a tracker log history, and email correspondence with the company. The last email correspondence was a subscription cancellation confirmation. You didn't need it anymore, right? Received from find@cubetracker.com on July 15th at 3:02 hours. Excuse me. This is approximately 3.5 hours after the murder of Cynthia. The username listed on the email was rseith30339@gmail.com. Further review of the device revealed Richard purchased a brass catcher on July 2025 from a Micro-Roni. A Micro-Roni is a conversion kit that transforms a Glock handgun into a short-barrel rifle-like platform. This is important because the brass catcher is a gun accessory that catches spent casings as the firearm is shot. So there's no casings on the ground. Further review of the device revealed searches on July 14th. Fort Lauderdale Airport, tracker.flightview. When link is activated, it takes the user to Spirit Airlines, departed flights, Green Acres, Florida. Detectives learn that Richard is an ophthalmologist who works at and owns the Treasure Coast Eye Specialist at 1441 Stuart, Florida. It's weird because that lady worked in that one too. Isn't that funny? Wait a second. That's so weird. I think I knew somebody that worked there. Specialist office has a security alarm, and every employee of the business has their unique code or passcode to arm and disarm the alarm system. On July 15th, the alarm of Treasure Coast Eye Specialist was disarmed by the unique code assigned to Richard Seith 1 hour and 25 minutes after the homicide occurred. The unique code assigned to Richard Seith arms the alarm at 2:10 a.m. On July 17th, the search warrant was executed at Treasure Coast Eye Specialist with the assistance of the Martin County Sheriff's Office. During the execution of the search warrant, firearms, to include a revolver, a rifle, and a Micro-Roni conversion kit that transforms a Glock handgun into a short-barrel rifle-like platform, were recovered inside Richard Seith's desk inside his office. Ammunition was also recovered inside his desk in his office. After the search warrant was finished at his residence and prior to the execution of the business search warrant, Richard traveled to the location of his office in an attempt to enter the business, which was denied as detectives were in the process of procuring a search warrant. On July 17th, detectives executed a vehicle search warrant for Richard Seith's 2019 orange Jeep Wrangler. Inside the vehicle, detectives located dark color clothing, a 9mm Glock handgun which appeared to have been recently cleaned, and had a large amount of oil residue present. Detective Riddle analyzed the Verizon historical cell site location information for the phone number, which is the device associated with Richard Seith, and were obtained by a search warrant and received on or about July 18th. In a review of the records, which included historical cell site information about his location, the following was learned. The account name was in the name Richard Seith with his Jensen Beach, Florida address with an email rseith@yahoo.com, which has been effective since June 2005. The IMEI of the device used during the time frame of the records matches the device seized from Richard Seith and extracted during the investigation from about 4:35 p.m. to 6:52 p.m. Seith's device is communicating with cell sites and sectors with estimated distances from the cell sites that are consistent with his residence in Jensen Beach. From about 7:01 p.m. to 7:19 p.m., his device is communicating with cell sites and towers in sectors with estimated distances that are consistent with his office. Starting at about 7:19, his device is then consistent with travel south into Palm Beach County, arriving in the area of Green Acres about 8:33 p.m. The travel is consistent with several cameras in Martin County and Palm Beach County. From about 8:33 p.m. to 9:22 p.m., Seth's device is communicating with cell sites, towers, and sectors with estimated distances from the cell sites that are consistent with Lucerne Lakes, that's the victim's residence. From 9:23 to 9:27 p.m., his device is consistent with recovered video of his vehicle from at least 3 locations in the Lake Worth Road, just west of Swain Boulevard. From 9:27 to 11:17, his device is communicating with cell towers and sectors that are consistent with a shopping plaza west of 57th Avenue, and shows him traveling to and from around these times. From 11:22 to 11:53, his device is communicating with cell sites, towers, and sectors that estimated distance from the cell sites are consistent with the scene of the homicide that occurred at 11:47. There's no activity on the records provided by Verizon from about 11:53 p.m. to about 2:25 a.m. on July 15th. At about 2:25 a.m., Seth's device is communicating with cell towers estimated to be at his home in Jensen Beach. The investigation established that Cynthia was murdered by a single gunshot wound to the head as she was getting home from work. Immediately following the shooting, a person is seen leaning under the rear of her vehicle, and a sound is heard. Investigation revealed that Cynthia had recently been divorced from Richard Seith, and that Seith owed her approximately $250,000 and the condominium at Lucerne Lakes as part of the divorce settlement. Detectives also learned that several reports had been made documenting a stalking pattern of Cynthia by Richard in the year leading up to the finalization of the divorce. Detectives determined that Richard drives a unique orange Jeep Wrangler. Detectives were able to conduct an extensive video canvass and locate a vehicle consistent with Richard Seith's orange Jeep that it left Martin County, traveled to the area of the homicide prior to it occurring. This is further supplemented with license plate reader information directly linked to Seith's orange Jeep Wrangler. An orange Jeep Wrangler consistent with Richard Seith is captured on multiple surveillance cameras leaving the area and traveling back to Martin County following the homicide information obtained from Richard's cell phone indicated that he purchased a GPS tracking device prior to the homicide and canceled the subscription to the device approximately 3 hours after the homicide. Richard Seith's cellular records are also consistent with Richard Seith's device traveling from Martin County to the general area of the homicide and then back to Martin County after the homicide. The records are consistent with and parallel the recovered surveillance videos of the vehicle consistent with Richard's orange Jeep Wrangler. Richard denied being in Palm Beach County during the time of the homicide and stated that he's the only one that drives his orange Jeep Wrangler. Based on this investigation, probable cause exists at this time to charge Richard Edmund Scythe with the following: first-degree murder with a firearm. Okay, so that's crazy, right? Let's see what this guy looks like. See if you're still hanging with me. Okay. Hi, little lady. Little lady, did you hear me? I'm doing that vase you bought for me. I'm too much of a perfectionist. I'm doing the whole thing over again, so that's why. Now I'm thinking of the phone on the telephone pole. What? Wait, what are you talking about? I haven't heard that theme for a long time. What's happening? Hold on. Let me see what's going on. Hello to Scooter. Hi, Frilly Farmhouse. Hi, Easily Distracted. Oh, you guys all came in when I was on this. There's a lot to go over, okay? Debbie to Scooter. Let's see. Sad when I was in high school. That was my favorite show. What? Did you all hear about Malcolm-Jamal Warner? Yeah, we heard about it during my craft live. On vacation with his family. Yeah, I'll look into that in a minute. Yeah, he has swept out in a wave and they got him to shore. They just couldn't revive him. Oh. Said he was in some show he watched. Okay, let's see. I guess. Hi, everyone. There's little lady. You're trying to get the likes up. Okay. Too many people decide to unalive someone other than divorce. Well, they did get divorced, but I guess he didn't want to hand over that $285,000. And he looks like he has a long history of stalking people he dated or wanting to kill his first ex-wife. Yeah. So let's see what he looks like, okay? Let's take a look at this guy, okay? And it's so weird because I knew a lady that lived in that area, and I don't know why she worked in that ophthalmology. It's so weird. I'm going to have to look that up. Okay. Oh my goodness. So sorry. This is what he looks like. Okay. So if you're in Florida and you dated him on Match.com and he stalked you, you might want to talk to the police. Hold on a minute. This is trying to get something over here. Okay. And I do love her shoes. Those shoes right there. You know how I am about flat Mary Janes. But yeah, crazy case. I think they've got a hell of a lot on this guy. He'll probably take a plea deal. You know, it's like they're an ophthalmologist, right? An ophthalmologist, we're not talking about an optometrist who's not a medical doctor. We're talking about an ophthalmologist. There's another doctor. Last night we talked about a pediatrician. First, do no harm. Hippocratic oath. And what do? One kills her child. This one's killing his ex-wife. It's ridiculous. You can have a lot of intelligence, an incredible amount of intelligence to become a doctor, to do all that, but you just don't possess the wherewithal, the common sense, you're not going to get away with murder. You're not psychologically well enough to know that you can't do this. It's crazy. It's crazy. This is not someone that snapped. There was premeditation here like crazy. The purchasing of all this stuff. The thing for the Glock to collect the casings. The device to track her car. The amount of time he spent that day waiting around for her. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so are you doing the dentist case tonight? Yes, I'll go over the dentist too, and I will go over Malcolm-Jamal Warner. No, oh my gosh. It's not Warner, is it? Malcolm, what is it? Is it Warner? No, it's not, is it? I don't know. The guy that played Theo on the Cosby show. Okay, let's go over the dentist now. There's not enough stuff in the headlines to put everything in. Let's take a look now at James Craig, another guy, right? Another he's a dentist, not a medical doctor, but come on. Ridiculous. Wait, hold on 1 second. Did they have court today? Wait a second. Hold on a moment. Why do I Malcolm-Jamal Warner? Yeah, it is Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Okay. I don't know why this is. I don't think they had court today. Hold on, let me see. I can't stand that this is not televised, you know? It would be trial day 5. Okay, yeah, it did. All right, hold on a second. Why is this like? I can't stand they don't televise this. All right, let's get to this. Let me get. Oh boy. Hang on a second. Let me get a picture of James Craig up here. A lot of things that were going on today. A lot of things. Lots and lots. Come on, come on. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Hold on a minute, guys. This is... The more I try to hurry... Come on. Oh my goodness. All right, here we go. Hashtag no hurry. Hashtag James Craig. All right, so this will be day 5 of the trial. He's 47 years old. Now he's on trial for the murder of his wife, who they say they put poison in her protein smoothies. She died in the hospital. She was brain dead. So Angela's best friend, that's the wife, took the stand, Nicole Harmon. And she said she was best friends with Angela since the early 2000s and their kids grew up together. She said she's known Angela and James, went to marriage counseling through the years, but that no marriage was perfect. She said Angela didn't share everything, as there were things from the trial she just found out for the first time that she heard during the trial. Okay. She said she was friends with James for a long time as well. She went over to Angela's house when Angela was feeling sick in early March. And she said Angela told her that James made her a smoothie that morning. She texted James, who said it could be COVID or diabetes. She said that James attempted to take his own life at one point, and that he drugged Angela to make sure she wouldn't wake up, and he was going to inject himself with something. She said at that point she didn't know this part of their relationship, that Harmon texted Angela apologizing that this had happened, and Angela was upset with her. Harmon said she thought it was because Angela felt she wasn't there for her and didn't know what was happening. And they became more distant in 2019 after that. Then a nurse took the stand from University of Colorado Hospital. She worked on Angela, who was critically ill, on March 15th. The nurse said Angela was so sick she didn't leave her room when she stepped into it. Then a doctor, Peter Sottl, a physician from University of Colorado, took the stand. He's an expert in hospital medicine and pulmonology. He was assigned to Angela's case. And he said that he told James that Angela was likely brain dead and that James' response was somewhat unusual. The doctor said that after he told James about Angela's condition, James responded to the effect of, "That's unfortunate." The doctor said James' response was lackluster, and when given the option of continuing care, James said they should stop care, as it is what Angela would have wanted. The doctor said in his clinical experience, this discussion takes several days, and he didn't see grief from James. The doctor thinks they could have gone in different directions with Angela's care, and the decision to continue or stop is nuanced and complicated. The doctor told the defense that he's seen people ingest all sorts of things. He said he usually does get a history of it if patients ingest something themselves, whether it's a note or a pill bottle. However, he says it's not always the patient who says that they're the one who took something. He said that everyone's grief looks different and no reaction is less common, but it does happen. Let's see here. Another nurse testified. Rose Spichala, an emergency room nurse. Spichala confirmed with the defense that James was emotional when Angela was in the hospital. Spichala, when she was working on Angela, confirmed that James didn't try to intervene. Spichala said he was taking photographs from the hallway And in her professional career, she has never seen anyone take pictures of family members when they're receiving urgent care. Then a witness that was supposed to testify and was subpoenaed failed to appear. Prosecutors have not been able to locate the witness, William Walbon. Prosecutors say efforts were made to find Walbon. Had previously been in touch with the court, scheduled to testify. Want to see what happens. Okay. Dr. Carla Walker, the laboratory director for MedTox Laboratories, took the stand next. The court qualified her as an expert in toxicology. A blood test for Angela came into the laboratory and was collected on March 15th. The team tested for cyanide. She did not personally test the blood, but reviewed the analysis. They found cyanide in Angela's blood. Walker said there was 5.865 milligrams of cyanide per liter. In a non-smoker, 0.025 milligrams per liter can be in someone's blood, and smoking can increase cyanide levels to 0.41 per liter. People can be exposed occupationally or medically as well. Forensic toxicologist Dr. Justin Brower was questioned on the stand. Specimens used in toxicology testing. Brower said the concentration of arsenic that was discovered in Angela's blood on March 9th did not decrease nearly as much as it should have before another test on March 15th, indicating that there was chronic exposure to arsenic. He said that while environmental factors could explain results in the liver and hair, it could not explain the high concentrations from her blood. He also said that the tetrahydrozoline that was detected at high levels, and when used in products like Visine, levels should be trace amounts, if any. As for cyanide, Brower explained that toxic chemical has been used as a gas for execution of inmates and was used in concentration camps during World War II. He said exposure at high levels can be deadly in minutes, and that toxicology reports came back with significantly higher levels than what is normal, which can only come from ingestion or serious exposure. The defense questioned Brower about the specimens, and he confirmed that the samples were cared for in both collection and storage procedures, but that he was not sure of the exact nature of how the samples got from the hospital to the lab. His testimony was followed by Dr. Kelly Lear. She was the elected coroner of the Arapahoe County and a forensic pathologist. Dr. Lear was questioned about the general process of conducting an autopsy and determining the cause and manner of death for patients that go through her office. Following this, the prosecution began asking specific questions about Angela Craig's autopsy, including injuries, blood samples, and more. The defense asked if patients tell staff if they ingested something themselves or if they are struggling mentally. The doctor said sometimes they don't tell. Now, that was it for the trial for tomorrow morning. Let me see here. So that's that. Now let's take a look at Malcolm-Jamal Warner. See what happened there. We have a Bill Cosby reaction to Malcolm-Jamal Warner. So a spokesperson for Bill Cosby said Malcolm was doing what he loved when he died. He was with his family. And he's being remembered by the man who once played his on-screen father. After news broke that Malcolm-Jamal Warner died at 54 on July 20th, while on a family vacation in Costa Rica, Andrew Wyatt, a spokesperson for Cosby, 88, told the media that Malcolm's death reminded him of the same call he received when his son died. Enos William Cosby, the actor's only son, was murdered in 1997. He was shot to death at the age of 27 during an attempted robbery at a Los Angeles freeway ramp as he tried to change a flat tire. Okay, so here, let me see here. I'm looking at this. Okay, so here's okay. He apparently drowned while swimming. A source confirmed the Judicial Investigation Agency later said in a statement that they removed the body of a man who apparently died as a result of asphyxiation by submersion. That statement said that based on preliminary information, the victim appears to have entered the sea and was apparently swept away by a current. He was rescued by bystanders and taken to the shore where he received treatment from the Costa Rican Red Cross. However, he was declared lifeless at the scene. Wyatt said that Cosby's son played with Malcolm, calling the events that unfolded on July 20th devastating. He found a way to talk about Malcolm even though he was sad, Wyatt said of Cosby. According to Wyatt, Cosby said Malcolm was doing what he loved. He had just done a concert in Minnesota and called Mr. Cosby and talked about it. They spoke all the time, he said. Malcolm was changing humanity. Wyatt also noted that Cosby was finding comfort in the Cosby Show co-stars. He says the actor was on the phone with Felicia Rashad, who played his on-screen wife, Claire Huxtable, reminiscing about Malcolm earlier in the day. Then Cosby spoke to CBS News' Jericka Duncan and said the two were embracing each other over the phone about a dearly beloved friend following the news of his death. He was never afraid to go to his room and study. He knew his lines and that he was quite comfortable, even with the growing pains of being a teenager, Cosby added, noting that he later spoke to Warner 3 months ago. He said their last conversation was centered around the concert alongside the Minnesota Orchestra, and Cosby added that it was something Malcolm was very proud of. Okay, so let me see here. So how many children did he have? And here's something, I guess, from Angela Bassett and Malcolm-Jamal Warner on 911. What is that? Is that a... He's survived by a wife and daughter whose identities he opted to keep private. So, yeah. Love it. Oh my goodness. All right, let me get back to the chat and see what you guys are saying. All right, what's going on? Yes, A Heart Made Wise. It was my favorite show in high school. Hello, A Heart Made Wise. I don't care what you think, Cosby, Scooter said. My oldest, I was yelling in my sleep last night for my mom. I have lost my shoes and was going to miss my bus to school. Really? Probably going to regret sitting here eating Hershey's chocolate cream pie. Chocolate cream pie? Where do you get that? Hershey's chocolate cream pie? I don't know if I've ever seen that. Did you make it yourself? Who made so many stick? Stefan Sterns should not have been able to have the last word. So disrespectful. And where was her so-called mother? Oh, we don't know where her mother was. I don't think she was there. Yeah, Green Acres, Florida. Oh boy, Cosby, Dallas, Knots Landing. Okay, so let's see what else is going on. A mom flies from New Jersey to Florida to check on son, then cops find her murdered body in a dumpster? What? Police arrested a man they say murdered his mother after she flew from New Jersey to Florida to check on him. Wow. Elizabeth Caruso's son-in-law contacted the Miami Beach Police Department and asked them to do a welfare check on her. She had gone to check on her son, Anthony Caruso. Anthony has a history of mental illness. When police arrived at her son's apartment building, they found Elizabeth dead inside a dumpster. Wow. She went all the way there to check on him and he killed her. When police knocked on Anthony's door, no one answered, and it led to an 8-hour-long standoff with Anthony, who police say barricaded himself inside his apartment. The apartment complex was also evacuated at one point. Oh, and we're going to talk about the father that killed his 9-year-old in Lake George. There's so much that happened today. I forgot to even talk to you guys about that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was another thing. So much has happened today and this weekend. That's crazy. So, that's terrible. All right, let's get this... This is crazy. This little girl, and Michael and Gia were in Lake George at the same time. You know that? Melina. Okay, let me get... This is the little girl, Melina. Nine years old. So, a man whose 9-year-old daughter was found dead in a wooded pond after he reported she had been abducted while they were vacationing in upstate New York was charged Monday with murder. Luciano Fratolin, 45 years old, of Montreal, is charged with murder and concealing of a corpse in the death of his daughter, Melina Fratolin. New York State Police Captain Robert McConnell said a not guilty plea was entered on his behalf at his arraignment Monday, according to court officers. The public defender's office assigned to defend Fratolin did not immediately respond, and Luciano called 911 Saturday night, and he told authorities that his daughter had been abducted from a parking lot near Lake George. That's a resort town in the Adirondack Mountains. And that led officials to issue an Amber Alert overnight to enlist the public's help in finding the girl. But authorities say there were inconsistencies with the father's account, and they concluded that there was no evidence she had been abducted. Fratolin initially said he could not find his child after he stepped out of a wooded area at a parking lot near Lake George. During a subsequent interview, he then reported 2 unknown males forced her into a white van. That lead was thoroughly investigated and disproven. Surveillance video shows the father and daughter in another nearby resort town, Saratoga Springs, at about 5:30 p.m. Saturday. The girl spoke on the phone with her mother about an hour later and did not indicate she was under duress. Police believe Fratolin killed the girl after the phone call and before he made the 911 call. Forest rangers found the girl's body on Sunday afternoon in the shallows of a pond about 30 miles north of Lake George in Ticonderoga. The criminal complaint said that Fratolin had concealed her body under a log. An autopsy has been scheduled. Police say the father and daughter had been vacationing since July 11th in the United States, and they were expected back in Montreal that weekend. The girl lived in Montreal with her mother, who had been estranged from Luciano since 2019. Fratolin did not respond to requests. Why are they doing that? And his company website, he had this business, was coffee company, okay? He has an Instagram profile, and he has a website for this coffee company, and it's said to be founded by him, and a post said that his daughter Melina is the light of his life. Police say Fratolin had no prior criminal or domestic violence history. And he said at one point, too, that he was urinating when he was urinating in the woods, that someone came and abducted his daughter. Unbelievable. And he had been in, I believe, Connecticut, New York. He had been vacationing. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. And a Texas man. This is crazy. I can't even believe how many people are killing their family members. Texas man admits to killing his wife and hiding her decomposing body in the family's home. Charles Bird allegedly admitted to killing his wife and living with her decomposing body. Okay, let me get this. Okay, hang on a moment. Charles Bird, Bexar County, Texas, I'm sorry. So he was arrested Sunday for allegedly killing his wife after deputies discovered a decomposed body inside his Bexar County home. He's 49 years old. He was taken into custody near the scene in South Bexar County in connection with the death of his wife, Angela Bird. Two Angela's wives killed him. He was booked on tampering with evidence and intent to impair a human corpse charge. Sheriff said murder charges are likely once the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office confirms the identity of the remains and determines the cause of death. Deputies were dispatched to a residence on Saturday after a relative reported that Bird may have done something to Angela. Upon entering the home, deputies detected a strong odor of decomposition and obtained a search warrant to investigate further. In Bird's residence, deputies discovered a decomposed body that was wrapped in plastic. The Bexar County SWAT team arrived, and the SWAT team rammed through the gate of the property to gain entry. As the SWAT team made its way up the dirt road, the sheriff's office said 2 individuals were seen running away from the home. The 2 individuals were initially detained but later cleared of any criminality. A third person, a man who owned the property, was also detained and later released. According to the sheriff's office spokesperson, SWAT operators spoke to Bird, who was outside of the house with his hands up. They took him into custody without incident at approximately 3 p.m. Bird admitted to investigators that he had a violent encounter with his wife on June 16th, which he believes led to her death. The sheriff said that Bird spent the following weeks living in the home with the body, taking steps to mask the odor using household items. As Bird was being escorted to the patrol vehicle, he said, "I'm so sorry. I loved my wife." He described having a mental break. Bird asked that his actions not define him and apologized to his children. His actions not define him. Oh my goodness. Okay. Mountain lion bites a 4-year-old on a popular Olympic National Park trail. Near collision between a B-52 and a SkyWest jet was caught on camera. Wow. Go big or go home. Travel warning issued for millions on the West Coast. It says Piers Morgan's ex-wife is left fighting for her life after a freak accident. A freak accident. Let's see what happened to her. 7 months after our mom was involved in a freak accident, says his son, left her fighting for her life, he wrote on Instagram. We were told on more than one occasion that there was little hope, if any. But against all odds, she hung in there. What is it, a ceiling fan thing? What happened? What happened? What was the freak accident? They're not going to tell us? Let me see. She was involved in a freak accident. That's all they're going to say? She spent 218 days on the ward. The staff labeled her a minor miracle, but they are miracle workers. What happened? They're not going to tell us the freak accident. Can you believe that? That's crazy. Really crazy. Hold on a minute. That guy on the screen right there. A disturbing comment from Bird left a huge impression on the investigator. He told the investigator he had never been in trouble with the law before, and then he blurted out the comment to the investigator, "You know, go big or go home." It was a pretty disturbing remark. That was pretty shocking to me to hear that he used that to describe what we believe to, at this point, be evidence of the murder of his wife. I just found that very, very shocking. Go big or go home. Wow. Okay. Okay. Now, let's not forget Brian Kohberger's sentencing is coming up on the 23rd, and they're going to have their victims' impact statements then. So this is a busy, busy, busy week. Let's see what else we have here. Travel warning. Let's see what's going on the West Coast. Weather officials in California are warning more than 3.3 million people in the San Francisco Bay about potential road closures and travel complications and coastal flooding on Monday. The advisories are more common with king tides, which are exceptionally high tides that typically occur during the winter months, but the National Weather Service said that an alignment of solar features is contributing to higher than normal tides on Monday. The coastal flood advisory directly impacts millions living and working along the Northern California coast. Okay, well, from 7 p.m. till midnight, residents and travelers in San Francisco and San Francisco Bay shorelines faced an increased risk of inundation of tides as they rose above average levels. Okay. Popular coffee brand urgent recall on K-Cups. Really? Of what? Where? Of what? New Mexico, Pinon, coffee, dark, Pinons. No, I don't use dark coffee. Okay. I don't... Okay. Grandson of Dog, the bounty hunter's wife, dies in a Florida shooting accident. At least 9 people shot dead while playing pool in Ecuador's tourist city. Yikes. Okay, let's see. Hundreds were reported missing after deadly Texas floods, and most of them were found, it says. Let's see. Found safe. Texas officials labored to account for more than 160 people originally reported missing along the Guadalupe River. Most of them were tourists that came into town and left and went back home and didn't report that they were there. Severe storms tear through East and the Midwest with high winds, floods, and giant hail. A woman died after falling from a horse spooked by a dog. Wow. Craziness, huh? All right, let me get back to where you guys are and see what's going on. Okay. Hello, Sassy Darcy. Hi, Victoria. The world's gone crazy. Hello, Evelyn Gregory. The world has gone crazy, right? What time is it? It's only 1 o'clock. All right, let's, I don't know. It's crazy. So much is crazy. Oh my gosh. What else is going on? Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? We covered a lot tonight. We've covered a lot. We have covered a lot. A lot. What did you get at the store, Scooter? She went to the Rural King. She won't even talk about the kind of chips that she got. She won't even talk about what she did. Oh boy. I think I'm gonna do the work. Okay, go to bed early tonight. I'm tired, and I'm hoping for a nicer day to go swimming tomorrow, but I don't even know if that's going to be. It might be a few degrees hotter. I don't know. I know later in the week it's going to be hotter, but I don't know about the thunderstorms that are going to be there. And they had some more lightning in Florida that was really bad. A little lady, I said, I'm redoing your vase. You heard that, okay? And I did a craft live at the house, and I was doing it, and then my phone just died in the middle, and that's what happened. My phone just died. I was talking to you guys, and I just looked at it and asked you a question, and I forget what question I asked you, but it was really important. Well, I asked if anybody was a Mormon, had been a Mormon, or a Scientologist. And then I went to look at the chat, and I didn't get an answer. And then the phone died. Yeah. Subway. Sway, yeah. Good. Heart. I murder of crows. Oh, how about, oh no. I tried subs. Wasn't there. Yaws. Okay. Good. Swab. Yeah, very good. Okay, now we just have one more here. Buys. Alright, that was easy. That one was pretty easy. Hotly. Oh, we got the same time, Murder Crows. I didn't even see you have that one. Yeah. Okay. Omit. Money. Oh, very good. Froze. Onion, that's what I was thinking of. Perfect. Perfect. Shoot, I can't do. There's no R. Guaranteed. Yes, Victoria. Okay. What does it exceed? Oh, exceed. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Very good, everybody. I can't get this thing to go straight. Huh. See what you got, Geld. Tried those, didn't I? Yeah. Godlike, yeah. Oh. I tried keg. Done. Done, done, done. Trustful. Very good. Oh my goodness. All right, guys, I'm going to go to bed. I'm exhausted. I love you guys. God bless. Prayers. I'll see you tomorrow. Everybody have good. Be good. Thank you for watching and have a great night. And I'll see you tomorrow.